Blue Apron, take back dinner. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Liars Club. I'm Felicia Michaels.
And I'm Jessica Wellington.
And what we do here at the Liars Club is we have two of our comedy pals come on. We ask them to tell two stories. One is the truth, one is the lie. And then we, together with the audience that's playing along, try to figure out which story is the lie. Right, Jessica?
Yeah, you got it.
And what I also want to say before Jessica introduces everybody is this podcast is brought to you by Blue Apron. If you ever wanted to try a food delivery service, think about Blue Apron. And if you go on Blue Apron and you're going to order something, put liars, right, in the code box and you'll get 30% off. Jessica, please introduce our guest.
I would love to. This lovely woman over to my left, she's open for Whitney Cummings. You've seen her on HBO, Netflix. She does all the queer festivals because I think she's queer, and she's super hilarious.
Imagine
right.
I'm not. You're not. Are you?
I know. You guys have the same fucking hairdo just about.
This is Mav Viola.
Yay! Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I just cheered for myself.
That's all right.
Woo!
It's all
Yeah.
good.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
I
have to
appreciate
in
you
this
having me.
business.
Yes, you
Yeah,
do.
you do. You do.
And I'm so excited for our other guest because I've been trying to get him down here for some time. Both of these guests have been trying to get down here. But he recorded his special recently in the Belly Room. That's going to be out on social media soon, so you're going to check that out. He runs the comedian charity. It's called Help Steve Help.
That's a different one. There's
that's
the
a different
Comedians Assistance Fund, which
Okay.
is the Comedy Store charity.
Okay.
And we're doing an event. I want to do a plug for all people of the Comedy Store family this Sunday, the 19th. If you don't have health insurance or if you want help paying your premiums or whatever to navigate that stuff, come to the Comedy Store this Sunday, the 19th. I think it's at 4 p.m.
Does that
not
include dental?
Not everybody out in the world, just comedians, right?
Just comedians.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he's definitely, he helps everybody. He's got a big
No,
heart,
he's
and
really
he's
awesome.
Yeah, Help
so
Steve
funny.
Help is for the kids.
How do you prove
Yeah.
you're a
Okay.
comedian?
You just have to be part of the Comedy Store system
Such an
here.
asshole.
Like if you're a door guy or
Okay,
one of our
cool.
regulars.
Gotcha. Dope.
And that's Steve Simeone.
Yay,
Thank
Steve
you.
Simeone. But they don't do like a group insurance thing here. No,
but
it's
they're
just,
gonna have like people from the Motion Picture Television Fund, like legit social workers, that'll like let you know, like these are all the programs available to you. They'll break down your budget, try to get because there's a lot of government help that nobody knows about.
right.
There's funds just sitting out there. But then even with that help, if you're not able to make it work, the Comedy Store has money set aside in Mitzi's honor to just help comedians.
That's so cool.
great.
So
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
And then the goal is that once you get there and you starting to think about help, that I think we all need mental health thing and just get over that stigma and let's just try to have a better life.
yes, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, two great programs.
No, these
for
are just
sure.
happy comedians right here. All of us are fine. We're all fine. Steve.
Wonderful. And then here to my right, the man himself, back from the longest fucking vacation that ever existed.
Fucking forever,
I
dude.
know.
When you're homeless, you can just leave and stay gone as long as you want. I mean, it's
As
great.
long as you're homeless without a podcast. Please give it up for Mr. Austin Walker. Yay.
So glad to be back. Thank you,
Yay.
guys. Go Gators. Glad to be
Yeah,
back.
we have
Happy
the
New
team
Year.
all back.
He
And I
says
hope
it
you
all the
had a
goddamn time.
great holiday. And also in the control booth, we have Michael Evans. He's hanging out. He will be piping in. Put yourself on
The
camera. We also
transgender
have
himself.
the transgender himself. And then we have Kyle Anderson out there in the back, too, just hanging out. He'll be here on Friday. All right. So, first of all, I just want to say I've known Mav for so long.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
my God.
silly.
Before she was
Did you guys used to
comedian.
date?
I mean,
No.
kind
No.
of. One
No.
degree away from no,
1 degree, 'cause
degree away.
One of my closest friends, and you used to date.
Yeah,
when
we
you
did.
first came out, you were doing improv.
I was doing improv and music,
Uh-huh.
and I had like long blonde hair, and
Yeah,
You
you
a
look-
rapper?
I was a
totally. She
was a
looked like me.
hardcore rapper.
She looked like a 20-year
I
less
did.
older than me. Yeah, she looked like.
yeah,
me.
it was like really feminine.
feminine.
and-
She's like,
Really?
yeah,
yeah.
and really awkward.
Yeah.
And then your friend was more boyish than me.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, I think I just want to be that.
Yeah, I don't want to
She's the
date that. I
coolest.
want to be that.
But yeah, I mean, dating. She's great.
She's awesome.
She's
She's
literally
awesome,
the
by the
best.
way.
She's amazing.
and I'm so excited that you're here, and also
Yeah.
that Steve's here, because Steve, I've always wanted to get to know you better, and I hope through the process of you telling your stories that we will form a kinship, Steve.
It'll
a
be
kinship.
awesome.
Yes.
Making friends is the best.
Yes.
It's like
yes,
one of
it
my
is.
favorite things in life.
I'm in love with Steve.
Who isn't, by
Like,
the way?
what?
Like a episode of Sesame Street.
yeah.
Kind of, sort of. I'd also like to welcome all the people playing along. We are streaming live here at the Comedy Store, which we do every Monday at 4:30 on the Comedy Store's YouTube and Fridays at 8:30 on the Comedy Store's YouTube-ish. Both of
Ish.
those are ish. But okay, so do you want to just start the game?
Yeah, let's just do it because I got to work patio, unfortunately.
All right, so
sorry.
we're going to let Steve start first.
Okay. So my first story, 2 to 4 minutes, right?
2 to 3, yeah.
Okay, I
2 to
wanted to tell
25.
this one because Jessica, you're former military, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I've had the pleasure of entertaining our troops all over the world.
I love that.
It's
I want to
the
do that one
coolest
day.
thing because we get to do all kinds of stuff that, like, I've gotten to land on aircraft carriers, ride in Blackhawks, go to little combat outposts in the mountains of Afghanistan, like crazy stuff that like comedians shouldn't be allowed to do. And that's what this story's about. I think it was the spring of 2007, and there was a big.
You know, don't you always? I'm always curious about people that start stories like that. It was the spring.
I know.
It was the best
That
of
they can
times.
remember
It
it,
was
right?
the worst
Like
of
Golden
times.
Girls, picture it, Sicily, 1926.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Right, Hemingway.
So I think we were in Kuwait. It was a big base outside of Iraq where it was gigantic. And I remember it was the type of base where people from the front lines would go and they could actually drink 3 beers or something. There was a weird
I can
policy.
confirm that. When I was on Qatar, we could have 3 beers a day. You
Yes,
got
this
stamped.
was either Qatar or Kuwait. I don't remember which, but it was a big one. And I remember like
Probably
normally
Qatar, not Kuwait.
normally we got to be like the VIPs on a base, like for no reason. They would just be like comedians here or whatever. But this was a bigger base, and then we also had found out like they were taking us on our tours and stuff. But the main guy that was supposed to take us on tour didn't because they said that President Bush was there, like the first one.
Wow.
So, and I was like, dude, that's crazy. I've never been near a president and stuff like that. So you kind of forget about it. And then we were in the cafeteria, or as you guys call it, the defact, right? And like, I was like, because I'm like normally shy, but I was like in a cafeteria, I'm way more comfortable because it takes me back to middle school, and I'm murdering, right? Like, we're all having laughs, everybody's having laughs, and then you see, and everybody's in military uniforms, but the
was
comedians.
this an Air Force base or a?
I believe so.
Okay, because normally we would call it Chow Hall.
Okay, I
But if
think
you're in
this,
an Army base, it's a defect.
I'm not. This was. This might have been like one of those bases that was a joint base because
Okay.
I remember one of the things we saw on tours that they had Humvees they fixed Humvees there. It's all a blur except for this story.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, Air Force cops also drive Humvees.
These were ones that like they fixed that got blown up.
Okay. All right.
So everybody's in their uniforms and stuff, and it was.
I'm
a
sorry, I
giant-
got to interrupt.
Yeah.
So you can remember it was the spring of 2007, but not if it was Kuwait or Qatar.
No,
President
the
Bush was
thing
there.
is-
Yeah, and old man Bush was
And
there,
I
not
think-
regular Bush. Old
Yes,
man
that's
Bush,
what the
like in
story's about.
2007, though.
I think what it was is that like we had done you do like 6 shows a day, and sometimes you go from base to base to base. It's all really
right, 6
kind
though,
of a blur.
6, more
Yeah.
like 3 to 4, Steve.
I don't know. Like
Really?
it was crazy during those years. It was crazy. All right, so this is what happened. This was mortifying,
Okay.
like mortifying, because like I kind of forgot that President Bush was supposed to be there.
And then he
And-
pinched your ass, and you're like, "Whoa, I didn't see you
No.
there."
Okay, so everybody's in the defact, right? And then you just see guys in suits come in, and they were Secret Service. And then Barbara Bush walks in, and she looks exactly like she would on TV, like you know what I mean? Like somebody's grandma just walks in, and it's weird. And then you're like, oh my God, that's Barbara Bush, right? But then, like 12 feet behind her, and there's even a bigger entourage, President Bush walks in, right? And everybody stops, and everybody's looking. And I just go, look how big his head is. Because he had the head, like it looked like one of those paper mache heads they wear in Mardi Gras. He had the largest head I've ever seen on a human being. But as I said it, the entire cafeteria went silent.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just everybody went quiet and stopped moving when he walked in. And then you just hear me go, look how big his head is. Like everybody heard it. Everybody heard it. And then you
So
see the
you
ones.
mean to tell me when the president walked in, no, they didn't jump up to attention or anything?
No. He walked in like a lion. like a lion walked
That
in. And
old
everybody
man
just
walked
froze.
in like a lion.
Like everybody just froze because you couldn't believe, like, what is that doing here? It would be like if a gorilla just walked in on it or rode in on a unicycle. Like, what is that? Like, you just didn't expect to see it. And I wasn't thinking. So I just saw him and I went, look how big his head is. That was my first thought because it was gigantic. It was like the size of my chest. And then as I said that was the exact, like if we did it 1,000 times, the timing couldn't have been perfect. I mean, it was dead silence. And I'm just like, his head is. And then you see like the Secret Service guy go like this. And then President Bush kind of shoot me a dirty look as they walk right by my table. And I'm like, they're going to kill me.
So it was Old Man Bush,
Old
not
man,
number
not the-
2.
Yeah, they're like, no, new taxes. With the one Dana Carvey would do impressions.
But in
I forget his
2007,
name.
why would they go over there in
I
2007?
don't know. Probably like for moral support or something. Like a lot of dignitaries and people, like celebrities and stuff.
Do you
go over
remember
there.
who was guarding the DFAC? You don't. Not at all?
I do remember this. You have to sign in and you have to wash your hands and you have to take off your hat.
But
And
you
the
don't-
food is good if it's an Air Force base.
But you don't remember.
Army bases aren't that good. The food.
But you don't even remember
know.
if it was
I don't
an
know
Air
about that.
Force base or
I
an Army
don't.
base.
But I do remember the food was good, so I'm guessing it was probably an Air
Uh-huh.
Force base.
You really don't remember who
literally
was
remember nothing
guarding
about the
the
story.
DFAC? You really don't. That seems very because I
Right. I
right?
know.
Guarding
You
it.
saw the fucking president, one of the past presidents of the United States of America, and you made a fool of yourself in front of him.
Yep.
And you don't remember
Check.
where you are.
Check.
Because when I went over there,
Check.
I did also a tour of that old thing. They had the Ugandans were the ones that would guard the.
Oh, really? Where were you
Yeah.
at?
We were in Kuwait, and then we were in Baghdad, Camp Victory,
Mhm.
and then we took Black Hawks all
It's
over.
the coolest.
Yeah, like we were close to the Jordanian. We were at Arasad. What is that? The one that just got were they the
Baghdad?
big
No,
Al Assad Air Base or something like that?
Al Udeid?
Doing the deed? That's Kuwait, right?
No, that's Qatar. That's the one I was.
Oh, I think
No,
that
no,
might
no.
have been
This
the
was
base.
in for sure Iraq. Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
the
I was
air
only
base,
stationed in
think.
Balad in Iraq.
Yeah.
Dude, I remember one time we went to a base and the people that were like working the guard posts and stuff, or
Uh-huh.
the TCNs or whatever, they were called Gherkins. Did you ever hear it? I think that was the name of They were like the most feared warrior clan in the world.
Were they Ugandans?
No, it's like a tiny little.
They were gherkin.
I think like those guys. They carried those swords, with those swords that are like sickles.
No.
Yeah, I'm
shut
not. I'm serious.
up.
You can Google
Really?
that.
Really? No,
Yeah.
we don't Google during this.
They were samurai.
Yeah.
Dude, it's cool. You get to meet a lot of cool stuff.
Okay. I do remember this.
Not buying
that
any of it.
when I was over there, I had posed in Playboy years ago. Everybody knows years ago. And then I was
I'm
at
Googling
that. I
that.
think it was Al Assad Air Base. I think that was the name of it in Iraq, and it was fucking cold. People don't realize it gets cold there, and because it was in like December. Or something.
really does.
It really gets cold there, and so we flew in on a helicopter, and then I got sick, because the water and all that, whatever, and the food wasn't that great. But as I was getting out of the helicopter, there was a guy doing, the guy that does this at the airport, right?
Yeah.
And I ran to go to the bathroom, but it was an outside, like a porta potty, right? And then as I come out, and I literally had, because it was cold, and the Black Hawks have open windows. I was in a warm coat, but it was one that had. You remember when you were a kid and had the fake
The
leather,
cutout.
the fake leather around the hood.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right? So like my face
Like
literally
South Park.
was this. Yes, exactly. And the guy is standing there as I come out of the porta potty, and I swear to God, he goes, "Felicia Michaels." I was like, "Fuck, dude, I'll sign anything because that is a miracle that you like literally this way." You're like, "Felicia Michaels."
And then that tells you that he was really looking into your soul
I
and not your
know,
boobs.
I know. It was crazy. But anyway, that's a first. I like that your story is so different, and I like that you had the balls to tell that story, given that Jessica is
Mm-hmm.
ex-Air Force, and so she would be able to bust you on some
Yeah,
stuff.
interesting move.
Yeah, no, because
Mhm.
this is a podcast, but it is a game, and so we are trying to
Yeah.
have you guys kind of
Yeah.
beat
And
us
then-
in the
Yep.
storytelling.
And then
yeah.
Ron's here, and I did his military podcast. So I was like,
That's
okay, here's a
right.
good
Oh,
military
nice.
story.
Yeah.
That's what
Very
I thought.
nice. All right.
I like it.
Any
I
thoughts
don't believe it, but I
for
like it.
people?
There are some thoughts online. Somebody said Kuwait is tiny, so they believe that this story is alive. Michael Vargas, our buddy, says that he's trying not to laugh because he's lying when he tells the story. Mark thinks he's almost telling the truth and that Bush did have a big head. Marino, Marino agrees that the story is vague, but says Old Man Bush is a terrible nickname. Good name for a band, though, Old Man Bush. Buddy C. Buddy thinks he remembers that Steve did USO tours, so
I
could
think he did.
corroborate
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, because if I've done them, everybody's done them, you know.
Mm.
And so I think it is a good choice of a story to tell. But I can't imagine why would Old Man Bush and Barbara Bush be visiting there when they're not even in office. That's kind of weird to me. Like the timing sounds different. Like maybe you took this as someone else's story.
Well, they usually spring in the Middle East.
Pardon?
I don't know. You know how people say they summer in the.
They
Uh-huh.
are you in the Middle East?
I was
The
gonna say
summer
they're on
in the
vacation.
I'm like, they splurge for the
Summer
Middle
in
East? What are you
Qatar.
talking about? They spring for the Middle East.
Spring break in the Middle East.
Can you imagine?
By the way, is Jason
Them?
playing Jason Marino?
Yeah,
Jason
he's
Marino is
here.
playing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks for
shout
coming
out.
out to the show.
Stop
yeah.
soliciting.
Reno, baby.
Yeah,
He was so nice.
Yeah, we had fun with him at the Ice House. By the way, we have another Ice House show coming up February 14th.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, and one here on January 31st. If you guys could make that, that'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
All right.
Beautiful.
Anyway, your turn.
All right. Mine's not quite as false. Or is it? We don't know. Okay, so when I was in my early 20s, I had never, I didn't drink alcohol till I was 22 or so because I was crazy Christian for all of my upbringing. But then I went to New York with my mom and my stepdad decided to take my stepsister and I to New York City to have a bonding trip because we grew up together, but we kind of went our separate ways.
Now, when I met you before, did I meet your dad or was that your stepdad? That
You
I
met my dad.
Okay.
Yeah. Shorter guy, right? Yeah.
And you guys
yeah.
didn't date.
No.
Well, she and my dad, Felicia and my dad dated. Yes, that is correct. That's another story. I dated Felicia and then Felicia dated my dad. It's fine. It's all, keep it in the fam. So we go to New York, my mom, my stepdad, my stepsister, and I. My stepsister's a year older than me. She's already out as gay. I'm still kind of Christian and don't know what I'm doing. And I've had a drink in my life. And we're
So your sister's gay too.
she's gay, yeah.
Your
She's
stepsister. Yeah.
Stepsister.
No blood. Never
But
lived
she was
together,
out.
nothing.
She
This is
was
important
out.
to know.
Okay. But she
No
was
blood.
out.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, I slept with my cousin, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, did
What?
you? Dude, I made out with one of my cousins too.
Yeah.
It was hot when it was happening. And then it was real, we were, God, now I'm telling a whole nother story. We were making out, my cousin and I.
Your cousin and
Yeah.
Oh, no, but no, the
Oh, I got to tell the
stepsister.
real
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
But yeah, I made
That's
out with a
good, though.
cousin.
Okay.
And that one was good until we got into the car and then she put her hand on my leg and I was like, no, it's done. It's done. It's not happening anymore. Gross. So I'm in New York with my stepsister and we're hanging out with her parents, blah, blah, blah. And then we go back to the hotel one night and she's like, hey, do you want to go get a hot dog on the street or some nuts or something? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever.
I'm projecting, I
Yeah,
would
right.
say.
So I'm like,
Hot
sure.
dogs are nuts.
I didn't even realize what I was saying when I said it, but I was like,
Some
yeah.
warm poutine. You want to get some warm poutine on the street?
Yep. So we go out, we're without, she's like, no parents. I'm like, yeah. She's like, we'll catch up. So we go and she's like, let's go to a bar instead. And to me, that was huge because I was coming out of Christianity. I was still just young and whatever. I don't know. It was very sheltered. So I'm like, ooh, we're going to go to a bar. So we go to a bar, little divey bar. Everyone looked really gay in there, but I didn't quite get it. But I was like, why do all the women look like men? So we sit down at a table, we have a beer, and while we're talking, I'm getting drunk because I've hardly ever had alcohol. And I'm looking at her and I'm just listening to her talk and watching her, and she's just getting hotter and hotter to me. And I never had these thoughts before, not in the forefront of my mind. So I get up, I go to the bathroom, I legit wash my face with cold water and talk to myself in the mirror Mav, you have to get a fucking grip. What is happening right now? This is, first of all, woman. Second of all, your stepsister. None of this is okay. I go back to the table. She's taking shots of tequila with some lesbian. And it is take a shot of this, whatever it is. And to me, it just looks like a little tiny glass of water.
Yeah.
It's Patron. So I'm just shooting back Patron with her, doing whatever she wants because I just think she's so cool. And now I'm drunk and attracted to her. And then we walk back to the hotel and all of Times Square is flipped on its side because I'm drunk. And we get back to the hotel and we're in the elevator and we're on separate sides of the elevator. And she's like, can I kiss you? Yeah. I'm like, hell yeah, you can kiss me. And we just go at it in the elevator. And then we stumble off the elevator and we make out in the hallway hard. And then you guys are so turned on that you can't even interrupt to ask questions. Everyone's so turned on. Every mouth is agape
It's great.
and head nodding.
You might be confusing turned on with horror.
Yeah. All right, fine.
They're not blood related. They never lived
Nothing.
together.
I'm not having judgment.
So we make out, and then my stepfather stumbles into the hallway.
No.
Yeah. Mhm.
And he was like, threesome.
Yeah. And then we had a threesome. It was fine. But no, he didn't see it. He was like, girls, keep it down. And I don't keep it down. I don't know if he had, like, he wears glasses, so maybe he didn't have his contacts in or whatever. I don't know, but I don't think he saw anything because
Well, what were you guys doing when you first realized he was there?
we were just making out. No, nothing was really much happening other than that. We were just hardcore making out against the wall right outside of our parents' bedroom
Does
door.
making out include feeling up?
I don't remember. I would have to ask her, and we've never talked about it since. Not
Yeah.
once. Like, we went to bed. Her dad came out. We panicked. We went to bed in the bed right next to them and just, like, laid as stiff as a board. And then we've never talked about it. And, like, she's married to a woman and has kids now. And, like, I'm super gay. Like, thanks to her. You know? It all changed then. It all went to shit, really. But that's my story, is that I met my first kiss with a girl was with my stepsister
I believe
in New
it.
York.
Wow.
Do you?
Yeah.
You don't need to even see her to know?
I'm
No.
leaning into it too because we're fucked up, dude.
Dude, we are fucked
Yeah.
up. I know. Just because, where are you from?
North Carolina.
Yeah, I'm from Virginia.
Yeah,
Forget
yeah.
it.
That makes sense.
That's right.
Wow, if Cinderella just would have taken your tact, her life would have been way different.
Right?
Wow, that's a good story. I mean, do you have any questions, Steve? That
No,
you would
I
like
believe
that?
everything. By the way, I'm a terrible guest on this. Whenever somebody tells me something, I just believe them.
What about you, Michael Evans, over in the control booth?
Dude, I believe it too. It was if all that passion. If that story's not true, I'm gonna feel fucking juked back.
Really?
Yeah, but I mean, she's right. Everybody was all the way in.
Okay.
Sorry, no, I know that's not interesting, but I just don't think it's a lie. Plus, Steve, you looked like you had a lot of questions, but you just wanted
Yeah,
it to be
you're
true.
just
That's
being
where I
a
was
good
at.
person about
You know?
it.
You're
No,
allowed to.
it's
You can
not-
ask me anything.
No, it just sounds true. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you tongue and all?
Tongue and all.
Yeah.
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 It was hot.
And did you the
It's
next
still hot to
morning?
me.
What
Like,
happened the
still-
next morning?
We went and got spaghetti. Like
In the
we-
the
in
next
the morning. Yeah, we walked to Little Italy and had
Never mind,
spaghetti.
I'm out on this story. Nobody gets spaghetti in the morning.
No, we did. Well, it was like 11. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
we
you wake
slept.
up late.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
yeah.
slept and then
Yeah.
we got up and
They had been doing tequila all night.
It's pretty heavy for the early part of the day.
when you're
Yeah,
hungover, like
but they
you
were
need
probably
heavy.
hungover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when
Oh, I
you want to
was
get
so
rid of the smell
hungover.
of pussy on your mouth, you want tomato sauce.
More garlic, please.
Just rub it in there. Just
I should do
lay
this,
it on.
this podcast more without being completely high. Anyway, how about anybody online there, Austin? And what are your thoughts?
Well, they're pretty quiet right now. If I had to guess, they probably got something in their hands and a little busy at the moment. But some
That's
people are saying not
amazing.
true. Michael Vargas believes the story, or at least he wants to believe it, I
Okay.
think. So Raver Bastard doesn't believe the spaghetti thing, but seems like everybody's like 50-50 down the middle
Okay.
about this
Okay.
story.
All
Why
right.
why is the spaghetti sticking out to people? Like, to me, that's the most believable part of it.
I'm a morning spaghetti guy. I don't like breakfast. I
Well,
don't
if
get
you're
it, so.
Spaghetti guy.
Yeah, I'll do. If that's what the diner's
Ugh.
serving, spaghetti for the morning.
Yeah, but it makes sense to me if they were out drinking the night before, getting
Yeah.
so
Yes.
fucked up that they're making out right next to where they're
You're famished. You
Well,
need
and
a
we're
good
with our
hearty
family
meal.
parents.
sleeping. Yeah,
And like they want to. We were only in New York for a couple days. It's like
Yeah,
you want to
I
go to
could
Little
see
Italy.
you
wanna
get
go to
up
Little
at-
Italy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
probably
10:30,
lunchtime
11.
anyway.
You go
Yeah.
walk to Little
Yeah.
Italy. Then
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally on
Sure.
board
It
for
all
that.
makes sense.
What did she taste like? Her kisses. What did her kisses taste like? No, people taste like different things.
Somebody
Like
said.
Incest. They tasted like
Oh,
incest.
God.
Somebody said hot dog
Perfect
breath.
answer.
They tasted like a double wide. I don't know. Like what?
No, because
When
now
you
was
were-
this?
When you're
Well,
telling
the-
your story, reminded me of that Family Guy when Peter started to write erotica. When he was like, she was hot. She was Italian or some kind of Spanish. So that's why when you were like, you didn't want to know what she looked like, because in my brain I was like, she was probably some kind of Spanish.
She's Mexican.
I knew it.
Now was this?
I am psychic.
That excellent. Was this like a stepsister that you'd known for a long time?
Yeah,
Like
I mean-
from what? How old were you?
I was 8
you first
or
met.
9 when we first met.
Oh my
No.
God.
Yeah.
Nice.
But our
Really?
parents didn't get together until we were I was 15 when they got married. I don't know what happened in between with
But
them.
did you guys
Probably a
go
lot.
camping and do stuff like that?
Yeah, we went on
family
family
stuff?
trips.
Did
we
you
were
ever
really
live in the
close.
same
we lived
house?
No, we just lived in like adjacent neighborhood or streets. And then our parents did whatever they did, split up the families, and then now they're married and they're wonderful. They're fine. They're great.
And
Her
are,
dad's great.
her father and your mother still married?
Yeah.
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 It's kind of weird that if this is the truth or a lie, it's fucked up that you're sharing it. You know what I mean?
Is it? It is, isn't
yeah,
it?
even
No,
if it's
I'm
a
told-
lie. Well, but you fucked your cousin.
I mean, it's like what? It's my first kiss with a girl
Yeah.
story. You know what I mean?
Shit
Like,
happens,
fuck it.
dude.
Shit happens.
I'm done being, like embarrassed or whatever.
Yeah, I'm done.
Were you ever?
Why are you shaming me?
Shaming you.
Shaming me.
I'm trying to find out the truth,
A
lady.
strong lesbian woman.
All right, let's move on to Steve's second story.
Okay. So this is kind of a drinking story. Kind of.
He's so cute.
And we were just watching Ferris Bueller and made me think. I was like, all right, I'll tell this one. So in high school, when you're underage, there's nothing better than getting beer. It's like the most fun thing you can do. And I grew up in it was a pretty nice neighborhood, but it was right next to a not a great little city called Chester. And that's where we would go to get beer when we were in high school. And we would just get like the oldest looking person we know to go get beer. And sometimes they would get denied. And then we'd like hire a homeless guy to go in and get us beer. It wasn't safe. So, but you needed to get beer.
But
You
you,
know what I mean? 'Cause
hired
that's
that
how-
homeless guy?
Yeah, well, we would call them runners, and we'd give them like $5, and they'd get us beer. Or like I had a friend named Angel that had a goatee in 10th grade, and we would put him in a suit and send him into like a ghetto liquor store, and he would pretend like he was trading bonds all day, like with the Wall Street Journal. We were idiots. My whole point is, but this is the story. So like we're complete morons.
That's such a cartoon move.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we were complete idiots. Like, you have to look like a grown-up, put on a suit. So senior year, a buddy of mine stole a kid's ID that was legitimately 21. And that was the most coveted treasure you could have as a person that wanted to get alcohol underage, was a fake ID that was real. And my buddy Timmy stole this kid's. He didn't steal his money, but he took his driver's license and his college ID at a party. A college party. He was a high school kid at a college party. This kid was 22 years old. His name was Brian Murphy, and he had a real driver's license and a real college photo ID. So Tim needed to write a paper. He didn't want to write it. I had a paper that he just took, but instead of paying me for it, I got the photo ID, the 2 photo IDs. So now we didn't have to go to Chester to get beer. I could go to like a nice suburban beer place. And when the guy carded me, I was like, sure, no problem. And he was
Nice
like, oh, thanks.
suburban beer place.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he was like, do you have any backup the first time? He was like, oh, do you have any backup? And I'm like, there you go. And he was like, okay, whatever you want. So then I start to go into this place on a consistent basis. And everybody's like, Steve can always get us beer. And I'm like the coolest kid in school because I have a real idea. I have real access to beer. And I start to build up a relationship with this guy to the point where, like, if you could drop off kegs, like, they wouldn't even question that you could go get more kegs. They're not asking me for IDs or anything like that. And, like, now all the really cool kids are my friends because they're like, Steve could go get us 5 kegs. And I'm like, of course I can go get us 5 kegs. Where's the money? And it was a glorious springtime. But then,
Spring again, is it?
Yeah.
Spring.
Also, a glorious springtime.
Yeah.
That's a lie. Now this is the lie.
well, this is the messed up part because you graduate in June, right? So from like all through January through June, you go into the liquor store like every weekend, just about. And the old guy that worked there, like he would talk to you like he knew you. You know what I mean? Like, no problems, whatever. And then, like, even every once in a while, he'd be like, we're thinking about carrying this. What do you think of this? And you're like a kid having a beer with a guy that owns a liquor store, and life's awesome. But then when we graduated, the local newspaper in Swarthmore, Pennsylvania, published our senior pictures of everybody that graduated that year. So,
Michael laughing.
Michael's loving it.
So the guy the old guy, Hank or whatever his name was, and the liquor store was like, hey, Brian. He goes, hey, Brian, there's something in the back I want to show you. And I'm not thinking anything of it. I think it's going to be like a new beer or something. And he had the local newspaper opened with my picture circled in a red marker. And he just slid it to me. And he goes, sorry, I'm not going to be able to serve you this weekend. And I was like, fair enough.
Good
and
run.
then I did. Yeah, we had a good run.
Oh my God.
What was your whole name on the fake ID?
Brian Murphy.
Brian, what was the middle name?
I don't know.
What about, you don't remember the address or anything? Because I had the same situation. I was Corey Jones, 1601 L Street, Washington.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's why I want to know if you know the middle name.
Yeah,
I
but
don't
I had a
remember the
fake
middle
one.
name.
I don't even remember the girl's name.
Well, because I just found my son's fake ID.
Yes.
Dude, that's the coolest thing. When you're underage, a
And-
fake ID is the coolest thing.
And
sick.
this
I can't believe they
just
still do it. I'm
happened.
like, they still do this?
Yeah,
Like-
I know.
You just want
Why
to get
wouldn't they?
beer.
And,
you just want beer.
So I go. His first name is Cash, and then I go. The middle name. Why did you pick this middle name? He goes. It sounds cool, Leon.
No.
Leon.
Cash Leon.
And I go. It's spelled Leon. Leon. Leon.
That's like the McLovin story. He did the
We
same
Yes.
laughed and laughed, and he was so
Oh.
embarrassed.
Is roasting your kid just the best thing ever?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's got to be
Pretty
funny
much.
to see them do stuff that they think they're getting away with.
Wow, what are people saying online about that story though?
Somebody just said we did this at the liquor store and called it pegging and has a whole new meaning
Yeah, what
now.
the fuck?
Buddy C. Buddy thinks this is Philly. This story is around
Yeah,
the
suburban
Philly area.
Philadelphia. Yep.
He couldn't corroborate because we don't Google, but
Yep.
good eye there, buddy. Raver C. Basher said, who was trying to get an ID? No one over the age of 21 goes by Timmy. But it was not Timmy that was getting the fake ID.
No, Timmy's the one that stole it.
That
Tim.
stole it.
Shout
Oh,
out Timmy.
good listening though, Raverback.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
good listening.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's somebody else wants us to call the stepsister from Mav's
Everybody's
story.
still
So
thinking about that.
we'll wait for
I don't
the
even have her
reveal
now.
on that.
Absolutely
I
not.
guess my question is, you started out your story by saying Chester, the town of Chester, but
Yep.
then you said
Chester was
Swarthmore.
right next door. Yeah, because Chester was like dangerous.
Chester was the ghetto liquor store he was going to, but then when he got the fake ID, he said he got to go to a nice suburban.
Yeah.
All right.
Beer
And
joint.
if we couldn't get cases of beer in
Uh-huh.
Chester, there was a corner bar called the Madison Bar and Grill, and we would just go in and get 40s.
And would you tend to
But
buy
you couldn't
the,
get kegs. You needed like a real ID to get kegs.
Would you tend to buy the same brand over and over?
When we were kids, we thought malt liquor was cool, but we didn't get kegs of malt liquor.
Uh-huh.
We used to drink, if we got cases, was this stuff. It was so disgusting. It was called Mickey's Big Mouth.
Oh yeah, Mickey's.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, right?
Because you were like,
Mickey's,
bro, it's
yeah.
twice as strong as normal beer.
Yeah, yeah. And it makes you a different kind of grumpy drunk, too.
Ugh,
We
the
fought
worst.
different when we were drinking malt liquor.
What
They
was
had those hand
different?
grenade, they had hand grenade bottles, and you would like get drunk enough, you'd cut your hand trying to open it.
Oh,
What was the
sorry.
liquor store guy's name?
I think it was Hank. But I don't think that was his real name. I think we just called him
Uh-huh.
Hank to break his balls.
Yeah.
'cause he
Did you
looked
just
like
go in
Hank.
there like, Hank, you know me, I'm a Mickey's man. Hit me up.
No,
again."
when we the thing was once we could get real beer. Like we didn't have to like we could get like taste. Well, dude, you want to get a tasty this weekend? Everybody kicks in more money.
My question is this, and it's about your first story. What
Mhm.
happened after the room went silent and Grandpa Bush was there?
Just it comes back to life. But it wasn't like everybody. I don't.
Did he hear
remember-
you?
Oh, I believe everybody heard me.
And was Barbara Bush in there too?
Oh yeah, she
And-
seemed very nice. By the way,
Did she have a bigger head than him, or did
No, I mean his head.
Really?
I know,
Right?
I know,
Her head,
I
in
know,
my
I
mind,
can't
is
imagine
much
his head is
bigger.
No,
bigger
Yeah,
his
it's
head.
huge.
I shouldn't be saying this because I don't want this to sound disrespectful after I'm already mortified about it. But it was so big, it made me think, like, how did they shoot that on television? Like, I remember seeing, like, some actors that have come through here, and they have giant
Uh-huh.
heads.
Yeah.
And my head's definitely too big for my body.
No, it's not.
It's big.
But a lot. No, but I know what you mean. A lot of actors have big
Yeah,
ass
this
heads.
is a big head. Because I also have, like, whatever. I'm not proportioned properly. But his head was so big that it was like an alien head. It was like, if a giant's head on a normal person's
Did
head.
nody
like,
say something to you like after I went back to? And they were like, "What
were
the
the
fuck,
other
man?"
comics?
Oh,
all over-
yeah.
well, tell us about that.
Yes.
Yeah, what'd they say?
Well, my one buddy Tom was just like, dude, did you see the Secret Service guy start laughing? And I was like, dude, I was so embarrassed. And then like the other people, they all laughed. They were military people. They laughed, but like I was mortified. And there was also a sense of fear where I was like, did I just disrespect a former president of the United States unintentionally? But it was like a
Yes,
little
you did.
kid
Yes,
thought.
yes, you did.
Yeah, it was like a little kid thought, though. Like, he just
Yeah.
walked in and, like, it was surreal. And I was just like, look how big his head is. Like, that was it. And because it all happened so fast, it was like you see Barbara Bush in Secret Service, and then you see him. I went, look how big his head is. And then that was at the exact moment it all went quiet.
Ken Lofgren thinks the story happened to you in middle school, like you were a kid and saw the president, and you just added and meshed it into your USO
Yeah,
tour
because it
business.
seems like when you were first telling the story, as I understood it, that you were saying you didn't say you saw him in that moment and it just accidentally came out. It was
No,
more,
it was complete, like,
it seemed like you were saying that you had seen him before and then you just
No.
said it to the people.
no.
Okay.
We had heard of, like, another tour or another VIP group on the base, which was the first time that's ever happened. Like, we're like, oh, somebody else is visiting the base. But it was a big base. It might have been Al Udeid or the one called The Rock. Is there one over there
Yeah.
where they show you The Rock and there's, like, a sword in it or something? Honestly, I don't remember the base. But I think it was the one where they had, like, a huge indoor, what do they call that? MWR place? Where there was bars and stuff inside. And I remember it was that base. It was a big base, and this was 2007.
Maybe in 2007 when I was in Al Udeid, it was an outside tent. It was like a canopy.
Is that the bra?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a show there. It wasn't that base.
Oh shit!
What?
Steve's got me fucked up, man.
I know I'm fucked up now. That really fucked me up.
Yeah.
They did call it that because it looked like a bra.
Yeah, I did a show. It was
fucked
that
up.
tour because that place we did a show on St. Patty's Day in front of like 2,000 people, everybody outside, and we got a standing ovation. It was one of that was happy
What
memories.
comics
man.
were you
That
question,
tour? There was a guy named
Felicia.
Tom Foss, Steve Mazon, and Dave Mashevitz. And that was not a USO tour. That was Comics on Duty. Rich Davis would send us over.
Are you guys familiar with those comics?
no.
Ooh, not even one.
No,
I
but
know
that's
Steve
but
Simeone.
I wasn't doing comedy then because I had just I think a year later got back into comedy a year or two later
Yeah.
because that was right when I had my kids and was doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but just to clarify the timeline was like it was just so fast. You see
Right.
Barbara Bush, and there's like secrets.
Yeah.
Like people start to notice
Who'd you
something's
say it
happening.
to when you said it?
To myself out loud. It was just
Yeah.
like, look how big that guy's head is. It was
I
like
just-
that.
That
It
doesn't.
doesn't-
That you're
no.
such a kind person, and everybody, when your name comes up, everyone always says Steve is the sweetest,
in
kindest
control.
That's
Somebody
why I
actually
felt-
said,
But
would
you said
Steve
you were
Simeone
killing.
lie?
Right.
Didn't you
Dude.
say you were killing though? You were just on fire.
Yeah, we're all having laughs, but then it was like, honestly, the only way I could, because it was something that I never thought would happen. Like, you see somebody that famous, a former, I think at the time his son might have been president. So, like, you don't ever expect to see somebody like that.
I think at the time his son must have been president.
He might have, yeah, I don't remember, honestly. The only thing I know is it was not intention. It was not my intention. It was, I
Did
spoke
your
without
eyes lock
thinking.
when you said?
I was
Yeah.
no, it's just like, oh my God, that's Barbara Bush, and everybody's like, is that secret? What's going on? Then you see him come in, and I just went, look how big his head is. Like it was not like I wasn't like trying to roast him.
Ken
It was
thinks that
just-
he was already being wheelchaired around at that point in his life, which I think that it was a little bit after.
Yeah,
But I
you,
Yeah,
can't-
would-
that
you
was
wouldn't have been
07.
able to see him in a wheelchair. With
Yeah,
his
that was
Then
big
why would you
head.
shout it?
Well,
Like
if
I
I
would
knew that, I wouldn't
maybe
have
you'd just
felt
be like,
bad.
oh my god, you know, like
Why
no
would
one
you
would
make out with
hear
your
it.
stepsister? I
You're
mean-
right. You're right.
We're gonna break it down that way. All right, time for your second story.
Okay. Okay. When I was a little kid, before all the Christianity stuff, I was into fire. Like I was a pyro for sure. Like I have scars, you know.
Me
'cause-
too.
Do you?
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I would do things like, okay, I would anything to play with fire. Like you would take the lighter and you get it really hot and then you sear it under your skin. Did
My
you do
thing
that?
was, how long will this take to set fire? And I would do weird
Yep.
things.
That's where this is headed
Okay,
because it
okay.
started
Yeah,
with
yeah,
like
yeah,
Fucking
it's
wow.
I know.
Yeah.
It started with like I would roll up leaves, like just plain leaves in the neighborhood and like light them on fire and then like smoke them because I thought that was cool. You know, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
smoking. Yeah, that like did you
Yeah.
do that?
Well, we had an oak tree in our backyard.
Yeah.
My little brother and his friends took like bark from the inside of the tree because it like had one of those holes like
Yeah.
where the Keebler elves lived, and they pulled it out and they smoked because
In
they
the
thought they
springtime?
could get high from it.
Yeah.
And they were like, "We're smoking organic oak."
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Hey, what's that hole from? How's that hole getting?
I don't know.
Woodpecker. I don't know.
Woodpecker, owls,
Squirrels.
Was like at the
Yeah.
bottom.
Sorry.
You know, like
anyway.
No, that's a valid question.
I have
So
no idea.
curious.
It's valid. So I grew up in like the suburbs in Virginia and like, just really like farm. So like, we had like nothing to do. So we would just like burn shit. You know what I mean? You just like sit on the curb and like barefoot and like burn your body and like
Fire.
burn sticks and shit. Yeah.
Beavis.
Like one time it was so bad that I mean, this is bad, but it's not as bad as the story, but it's leads up to the story. So I was playing with fire in my neighbor's backyard and I set fire by accident to their the tree in their backyard. And you'd think that's when I would have learned my lesson. I blamed it on this kid, Casey. Sorry, Casey.
It's all cases.
It's not, because Casey was the bad kid. You know what I mean? He was the kid that always did everything anyway. So I was like,
Yeah.
whatever, it's fine. And he was fine with it, whatever. So I set a tree on fire, but they got it out in time. It wasn't like a big, huge fire. It was just like half the tree. So then you think I would have learned my lesson. Flash forward, my parents were going out of town with my stepsister's family. They were going skiing at Wintergreen in Virginia. And the families went out of town. And I had to stay with my friend Jamie and her family, which was cool because her parents were never home. Like they were always out at dinner or wherever they were out, wherever they were going. So I'm staying at Jamie's house. And
How old were you again?
I was 12. Yeah. Like too old. You know what I mean? I should have known by now, but I was just like, fuck it. I just always played with fire was my thing. So I'm at Jamie's house. I'm 12 years old and she's like, let's write love letters to the boys we like. Mine was this guy named Ryan. I loved him. So we're writing letters to these boys. Is that the iffy part? Because he asked me out. He asked me out on the first day of first grade, and we dated basically till the 10th grade. And he took me to like all my dances. Try me with Ryan Pollock.
Wow.
I just dropped his last name too. Sorry, bro. But he's super cute. And he tried to kiss me once, and it was like absolutely not.
What? Before you were dating?
No, before I knew I was gay. Like he tried to kiss me, and I was like absolutely not. Okay, so we're writing letters to. Hers was Trey, mine was Ryan, and we're writing them love letters. And she's like, why don't we do this thing where you like burn the edge of the letter?
Make it look like a pirate treasure map.
Yeah, or to make no.
That's what we used to do.
No.
We used to make pirate treasure maps and try to make it look old.
No, to make it look romantic.
She's talking about a romantic letter. Like a pirate.
If you're gonna make it look romantic, you would like melt wax on it and stamp it.
I wish that you
thought
had
were
been
gonna
my
turn it
friend
into a
then,
treasure map.
because I would have done that instead
So
of
what
what I
happened?
did,
What'd
which
you
was
do?
I went in the other. I did the first one, and I thought it was so cool that I was like, I got to do more of this. So I went in the other room. And I was like, I couldn't stop burning edges of paper. And I was like thinking of all the like people I was going to write letters to. And one of them caught fire and caught the edge of the cutting board in the kitchen, like the ones that pull out from the counter.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about? Those
Yeah.
kind?
Yeah, rich people.
Yeah.
Houses.
No. The ones that are built into like old ass
Yeah,
houses
I have
that
one
are
in my trailer.
I was gonna say modular
Yeah.
homes have them a lot of
Yeah.
times, save
but
room.
they're
Yeah.
old as shit and they're like covered
Yeah.
in gross.
Yeah.
Like you don't even use them.
Right.
But it was like the edge was out. It caught fire. It caught fire to literally the cutting board. The cutting board caught fire. And I didn't know what to do. And just like with the fucking tree, I panicked and I didn't tell anybody because Jamie was the only one that was home. And I just went in the other room and like started drawing.
With a burning fire in the kitchen?
I didn't do anything. I think my like fight, flight, or freeze, like I'm freeze, and I just
Yeah.
froze.
I did that when I set my bedroom on fire.
You
and
did
just
not.
Went back into the living room like nothing fucking.
Did you
happened.
really?
Fuck? Wow.
Yep.
It's embarrassing.
You
like
betcha.
I've never even told this story
We
because
gotta
it's
watch
so
out for
embarrassing.
Felicia. Jesus Christ.
What if the whole
I have to know
upstairs was
that
on fire
story.
right now? And these two didn't bother to tell us.
I
That'll
did.
solve itself.
Like, why didn't we call that? Were you an adult though? That might be a little different.
No, I was. I think I was like in 4th or 5th grade, and then my dad
Yeah.
was like went to the bathroom, which was right next to the room, and he opened the door, and it was my brother and my bunk bed and the room, and it was poof.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
How'd they get it out?
Shit.
My dad fucking got it out.
Damn.
Yeah. he
So
got
what
it
happened to
out.
your fire?
Yeah.
It grew and it burned their entire kitchen down because they didn't come home. I didn't call. I mean, burned it down. When I say that, I mean like as much as it could have before Jamie smelled it and was like, what's happening? Ran in there, saw it. There was nothing we're going to do. We're two 12-year-old punks. And she called 911 because she's smart. And then, fire trucks came. The whole neighborhood was out there. We had to Jamie, God bless her, like took so much of the blame for me
Laughing.
because it's funny. Because I mean, we could have died. We literally could have died, but I just didn't. It wasn't that I didn't care. I just like
Didn't
I don't
know
know.
what
I
to
was
do.
12,
What I'm not understanding is, so you had the paper and you're burning the edges. How did
right by the sink. So in my mind, I was thinking over the sink, like right next, like
But how did that catch on fire if you're holding it up and doing
because
it
I
like
kept
that?
setting them fucking down like an idiot. Like you sit, like you burn it and you think it's out,
Uh-huh.
and you set it down and it lit the edge of the cutting board. I don't know how it caught fire. One of the firemen said that maybe there was a like if a cutting board or a piece of wood is like cut in any way or splintered, it will catch fire more easily. So it could have been
Mhm.
splintered. I don't know. I didn't like see that part happen. I just saw the fire go. And then I was like, I think in my 12-year-old mind, the fire was small enough that I was like, it'll just go out itself.
I don't believe this.
You don't?
Yeah.
Well,
But it's fucked up, and that means the story about her kissing her cousin, stepsister.
It's
is-
true.
and which I don't think is fucked up, but maybe
no, and you listen, we all know
It's-
how you feel about
no,
it.
no, no. I don't think it's fucked up, but I think what's fucked up is you sharing
sharing
it is fucked up, right? Like I don't think
This will be the
everyone does what
last
they gotta do. all right. Any-
Everybody online just hopes the first story is true for their own fantasy sake.
Yeah, don't ruin this. I'm getting spaghetti on the way home.
Hell yeah, bro.
Mom spaghetti.
Yeah.
When I'm home, I don't want to run errands or have to figure out a meal plan, especially because I have kids. That's why Blue Apron is a great solution. Their chef-designed recipes are easy to follow and give you a balanced, delicious meal. Blue Apron is a quick and easy way to make high-quality meals that everyone can enjoy. Use promo code LIARS to get $30 off your first order. Blue Apron, take back dinner. Recap, please.
All right, first recap of 2020. Story one for Steve. He's had the pleasure of entertaining troops in the spring of 2007 at a big, gigantic base that they could only get 3 beers at and couldn't tour because President Big Daddy Bush was there. Then the Prez and manslaughterer Barbara Bush walks in, and Steve exclaims at the size of George's big old head, and the room gets very silent awkwardly. Story 2, he was a beer-loving high schooler who grew up in a nice neighborhood next to a weird town called Chester, where they hired homeless runners to buy them beers. One of his buddies, Timmy, managed to get his hands on Brian Murphy's driver's license and one time traded it to Steve so he could easily get beer and be super cool.
Oh my
But-
God, Jessica and me are like looking
I
at
know.
Steve like,
But one time the old guy that runs the store shows him his face in the paper and pretty much lets him know he's been had. So
Yeah.
that's it.
wow.
You know, I'm just not going to believe that second story because I think you would remember the guy's name that outed you and that you bought beer from for so long.
Yeah.
You know,
It's hard because I don't really know Steve all that well, so it's hard to. But then
I will say, and I don't know if this makes a difference at all, but the first story he looked up a lot
yeah.
around, and then the second story he looked.
I love this. I don't know why. I'm like, and then what did I do?
There were
It's like when people tell you stories about what you did as a little kid. I did what?
yeah, or blacked out.
Yeah, exactly.
And the second story,
Sorry for ruining your couch.
the second story, he had more fun telling it. So you know what I mean? Like he was smiling more and more giddy about it. So then the question begs, like, is Steve that kind of liar where he gets a thrill out of it, just like the fucking having a
Or
secret
one
in his
story's
pocket?
embarrassing and the other one's like kind of cool.
I don't think
Well,
Steve
he
would have been the
was-
beer guy.
He was
I just
remembering detail. Remember how foggy he'd be on certain details, but he could remember like that it was the spring of a certain
Yep.
time,
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
that a gherkin was carrying
Yeah.
a scimitar.
That was a different. Yeah, that was a different base though.
Yeah,
Different tour.
But
Yeah.
the, awful, just selective details to remember.
I just don't. I can't believe that you would do that, Steve. Like, I can't believe you would shout something out like that.
It wasn't intentional. That's what you guys remember.
No,
I didn't
no,
tell the
know,
story
I
right.
know, but I
It
just.
was just like somebody walks in and it would just be like, look how big that guy's head is.
And you think it's
But it
it's
was-
not quiet. Everybody's loud. So you're
Right.
thinking-
I'm so loud. There's like 800 people eating. And you're just like, I thought I was just going to my friends.
and
Like,
when
look
you're
how
in
big
there,
his head
there's
is.
a lot of silverware. It's click, click, click.
Yeah, and that all went quiet. I mean, if we had 1,000 takes, it couldn't have been. I mean, it
Yeah.
was.
That's a way more
mortifying.
believable version. That's a different perspective than.
That's
I got
the truth.
first
I
time.
wasn't telling it right.
I think it's just
That's
the president thing that trips me up. I think that he
Yeah.
meant to go with President Bush, W. Bush being in there, and then we tripped him up with saying, "Is it old man Bush?" And he just went with it. And
No,
like,
it was
yeah.
Barbara and the older one.
Everybody online seems to think that the first story is a lie. Even people are changing their votes now and going with
Okay.
first one lies. So I think I'm going to stick with them.
Well, I am not. I think the first one is true. The bush is true. And
Why? Because he said the booby tent?
the booby
Bra
tent helped me
tent.
out.
The bra tent.
The bra tent did help me. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
Yeah, but that could just be a reference point.
But
to
I
make
also,
you
I
believe
just
the
do.
story.
I do not think Steve would have been the beer guy.
Really?
I just don't.
Really?
I don't know why, but I don't think he would be.
Ugh.
He'd be the tag along to trying to find the beer guy, but I don't think he was the beer guy.
I think he's pretty. I think. Well, I don't know Steve so well, but it's. But
You're
it,
too sweet.
yeah.
to be the
But
beer
I
guy.
think if you're like this, like, forgive me, Steve,
Go.
average Joe, and
Yeah.
you get the power of that
Oh.
fucking ID. All right, no, fuck you. That's a lie. Don't you?
What? I'm
That's
just
a lie.
What?
Shit.
But
Oh fuck.
Buddy C. Buddy chimed in and kind of corroborates what you guys were saying. Simone can't lie; it would physically hurt him,
Uh-huh.
and said that you went with the military thing and grabbed Jess in, and that's the only reason why she's on your side because you pulled her in with something familiar.
Yeah, but then when
Yeah.
when I was saying that stuff, he
Fucked up.
gets all like your face turns red and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna go with Jessica and say the second story is the lie,
Okay.
Which would be the beer story.
the beer
I'm
story.
trying to label them.
Yeah.
So now do I tell
Michael,
you the
wait,
truth?
No,
Michael,
hold
what do you
on.
I
think?
too am going beer. Ugh. Yeah, beer story's a lie. I didn't know enough about that ID. I knew so much about mine in that same situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, beer
Well, that
story.
doesn't trip me out, but okay.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Fucking beer story.
You think that's the lie?
You had way more detail in the first one. The second one, you're like, I don't know, I
Yeah.
don't remember his name. Why wouldn't you remember that guy's name?
Yeah, when
I
you
know.
start a story out the spring of 2007.
Yeah, talking gherkins and shit.
Well, to be fair, they both happened
They
in
both-
the spring.
it was a glorious spring.
So you think which story is the lie, Mav?
The second one,
Second
ID.
story.
ID.
All right. What
Beer.
do you think, Austin?
I'm going with the first story is the lie, the Bush thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which story is the lie?
The beer story.
Yeah!
Your
It
face
happened-
gives it away.
Wow,
happened
that
to my
first
brother.
one happened.
Like I was the beer guy, but we had to put effort in to get it. And then it was my younger brother. Like we're only a year apart, so I gave him my moves. I'm like, you go to this place. If that guy's working, you don't go to that place. But then he was the one. His buddy Tim, I didn't change that. Stole this guy's ID, and then Hank was a guy that ran a baseball card shop, but his real name was Bob. But we just called him Hank because one time he was like, you ever listen to Hank Snow, the old country western guy? And he was like, I bet you'd be a Hank Snow fan. So we just called him Hank to break his balls.
All right.
But that really happened.
Well,
Everything
all right.
else happened.
How do you
it
feel
happened to my
now,
brother.
Austin?
I'm very pissed off at everybody online. Fuck you guys, you're terrible. You're swaying me.
We were together.
But also, I did
that
think the second
thank
story
you.
was like kind of a if the McLovin thing went right and super bad,
Right.
like if everything was going
The
smoothly. So
suit and all that. What? I mean, good details.
Oh, we
but
did that. My buddy Angel. We
Did
would
the
dress
suit?
him in a suit.
oh wow.
All right,
Because
well-
in Pennsylvania, to get real liquor, you had to go into a state store. They were state run. I think it's changed now, but I don't know, 30 years
Sounds
ago,
like an
20 years ago.
institution.
Yeah. So, like, if you had to have real balls to try to get like a bottle of whiskey, so we'd put him in a suit. And it was
Only
so
men in
embarrassing.
suits have balls.
Well, we're gonna
Try
move
to
this
make 'em
along
look
because
old.
I know you have to be out of here. So let's do a very quick recap of Mav's story. Actually, do the first story very slowly and then a quick one.
Well, she was about 20-something and was a crazy Christian and went to New York City with her gay stepsister. So they go out for some hot dogs and street nuts and drunkenly stumble from Times Square into an elevator where they make out and run into her stepdad, who might have liked it a little bit or didn't see it. So then they went to bed and got some morning spaghetti the next day. Story 2, before she knew she was into girls, she used to really be into fire in the suburbs of Virginia where she grew up and accidentally set fire to a tree and blamed it on this awful kid named Casey. Then one day her parents go out of town and she had to stay with her friend Jamie, where she used to make pirate treasure map style love letters with a lighter. But she became addicted to burning paper edges and left a blaze on the cutting board in the kitchen, which it burnt down. So
So
Recap.
if your stepsister came out before you came out, and
Yeah.
then you came out, your family just must have talked it fucking all out, right?
Dude, no, they don't talk. They're Southern. They don't talk about shit at all ever.
Is your family on your Facebook?
Probably. No, my dad is, but my dad's cool. He's cool, with
Uh-huh.
and everybody's fine now.
Is your stepsister on your Facebook?
No, she's not.
Is Is it just once?
She's very private. She's like married and has a family, and they're very private. Yeah.
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 And do you guys still talk at all?
Yeah, I see her every once in a while. She doesn't live anywhere. She lives in another country, so I don't really see her.
Honestly, I don't even care at this point. I'm going with the kissing the sister. It's true.
Really?
Absolutely,
I think
because
it's true, too.
I'm on board for
I think
it.
it's a
and
lie. I think it's a lie.
I knew I'd turn you by the end of this.
Yeah,
I
I got
think it's a
Kyle on my
lie.
side back here.
Why? What's he saying?
We just think that the pirate one sounds like bullshit.
I mean,
Yeah, burn the whole kitchen down.
Yeah,
not
but
the
you know,
whole kitchen. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you know where you look
you
at
make some
something and you're like,
damage.
it's.
How long did it take
it's
for
bad.
the fire department to get there?
I mean, it's small town, like 15 minutes max. I don't know.
Small town, 15 minutes.
Maybe not even that much. I don't know. I'm
So
12
when-
at the time. I don't
when you
remember. I wasn't
caught it-
like clocking it.
when you caught it on fire, was it like a fire was just a little smoldering?
It was a little fire at first. That's why I was like,
how
I'm just
big?
gonna-
Like
like a contain. It looked like it would be fine.
No.
Like in my mind, I was like, that'll just go out.
All
You
right,
don't have a
that's
bowl of
fucking
fire.
liar. Yeah,
A
that's
A
a
bowl of
lie.
fire. What do you
That's-
mean?
You just look like you're doing just a little bowl.
No,
of
like
fire.
it caught the wood cut. You know when you are making a fire, like in a fireplace, and you light the wood, like it just catches in
Is
one
anybody in
small
your-
spot first
Is
before it
anybody
goes.
in your family like a firefighter or anything?
No.
There's a lot of them
Yeah.
in Virginia, and that's why I
Yeah.
thought.
Wow,
you might
I'm
have
very
Oh, no.
conflicted over this story because in that, I think the second story is a lie, which means the first story is true, and I think it's fucked up that you would share that first story even though your family is not on Facebook other than your very cool dad.
Yeah, I think she kissed her stepsister.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I've got more than one, so they can duke it out.
You have one.
I have more than one stepsister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are they all gay?
No. they're
Oh,
not.
you
Okay,
said
then
that-
there you
You
go.
said that so judgy. Are they all gay?
But at that age, anything can happen.
No, I'm just saying, like, if you're talking about kissing your gay stepsister, they're gonna fucking know which one it is.
I just don't care anymore.
Okay.
Ken says that Steve looks really skeptical about her first story.
I
Is
was
that
just
true,
thinking.
or is that?
I believe them both.
That's the
But I
problem.
think
got
the
that.
first one we want to believe.
That's my
Yeah, the
problem.
kiss
is I
we
think
wanna
everybody
believe.
just wants that to be true
Did
so
you
bad.
ever, like, you know what I mean? Like,
So
Right.
how many pieces of paper did you burn by the time that thing caught fire?
5 or 6.
And don't you remember burning paper though? It like goes quick.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
a cutting board would be difficult to catch on fire.
That's
Right,
what I
exactly.
think
That's
too,
the
yeah.
thing that.
No, but
Jackson
that's
But
what
just
the
to be
fireman
burning-
said because
just
that's
to be
what I-
burning edges. That's what I'm saying.
but it
Yeah,
catches
they
fire
were-
fast.
and you were holding it and burning it like this, not burning it on the board.
No, I was. I mean, I was right there. I was an idiot kid. It wasn't like I was like
Okay,
smart
that
about
one's
it.
a lie.
Yeah.
Second story's a lie. Second story's a lie.
Fire lie.
Fire lie.
Pretty much everybody online agrees.
Oh no, we're probably
Kenny-
wrong then.
Kenny Vargas, Kenny Vargas, Marino, they're all saying second lie, and Buddy C. Buddy and Marcus are saying the first story is the lie.
Fire
We have
lie.
analyzed in no way why the first one could be a lie, really.
So you think the second story's a lie too?
I do, yeah,
Fire
but I
lie,
feel like
yeah.
we're not really giving them a fair shake.
No,
I
I'm
don't-
going blind faith.
What
All
about
right.
you, Steve? Which one?
Second one.
Yeah.
Is a lie.
But like, yeah, but the
Fire
first
lie.
one,
It's so hard.
the first one sounds like it's too cinematic.
The kiss.
We were in New York. It was this. It was that.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's cinematic. And the second one, like a 12-year-old would kind of just be like, I don't know, and just be like, that'll solve itself.
So if
'cause
she
you're
told us-
12.
If she
But
told,
the only problem with the second story is how difficult it would be to like this
Yeah,
table caught
yeah,
on fire.
yeah.
You know, with the kiss story, it is kind of funny that they're two gay girls going out for hot dogs and nuts. You know.
street nuts.
Yeah.
That is very funny.
All right. So which story is the lie?
the second one.
Oh my God, that's so fucked up that you shared
Oh
that
my
story. It's so fucked up. Oh my God.
I fucking love it.
Coming to a Pornhub near you.
Oh,
Speaking
God.
about wood on fire.
I'm in deep. My phone as soon as I turn it off of airplane mode. What? You know, my mom.
Oh yeah, are they watching?
Hell no.
Okay, all right.
Thank God they don't know how to work any of that shit.
Oh, wait till they do.
They're actually here. Bring them in right now.
With former President Bush. Oh my God.
Can't get his head through the door.
You guys have been absolutely awesome. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much
yeah.
for joining us and taking time out of your day. Where can people find you? What do you want to share that people can look for?
Just go to if you want to give a buck to helpstevehelp.com. That's all I'm asking. There's a family with a little girl that is having surgery on her heart, and they're in a tough time. So we just ask people to give a buck to helpstevehelp.com. That's it.
Very nice, very nice. And what about you,
Just
Matt?
do that for me too.
There's
Like,
no
what
way
am I
you're going
gonna-
after that.
Just find me on all the things, Mav Viola, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, and donate the $1 for Christ's sake.
Okay. And what about you, Michael Evans?
Can you hear me? The switch on this mic broke, but I've turned it on.
Okay.
Follow my Instagram at High5Michael. I'm around town all the time doing stand-up, and I post all my dates there.
All right, all right. And what about you, Austin?
I'm at the Austin Walker on everything. I think our next show is January 31st here at the Comedy Store, right?
Yes,
In
it
the Belly Room.
is, yes.
So we'll see y'all there, and go Gators, go Tigers tonight. Beat the other Tigers.
All right. And I'm Felicia Michaels. You can find me all across the board. Do us a big favor and follow our YouTube at the Liars Club because we do post these episodes up there. We also post extra content. And once again, if you are listening and not playing along live, we do go live Mondays at 4:30 and Fridays at 8:30 here at the Comedy Store's YouTube page. And we just want to say thank you very much for everybody that's listening and playing along. We certainly appreciate that you guys put in effort and time with us. Thank you.
You can follow me at Jess Wellington too, and you have been lied to.
If I'd have known Mav was going to tell that first story, I wouldn't wear sweatpants today.
I'm not telling that
Will the real liar please stand up? Right?
She's totally serious.
And you have been lied to.